Greetings and Happy New Year. So it's 2019 and I've been road tripping since New Year's Eve. Today's my last day and I'm leaving Las Vegas, but I had a really interesting story to share as well as just a little tidbit of sharing. But let me show you Vegas real quick. This is a view from the Excalibur. Now, I didn't stay in a super fancy hotel. Why? Because the Excalibur was only 20 bucks a night. I'm going to take the 20 buck a night room. And it's a nice room. It's not even a bad room. The Excalibur is an older hotel. And, if you go to some of these older hotels, you can get really good deals. So I paid $20 a night. But then you have to factor in, the parking that you have to pay and the resort fee and all that. But still, it ends up being a spectacular deal, especially if you're just going to go walk the strip and do other stuff. But here's the view. The window's a little dirty. So all in all, I had a really nice view, really nice time. So in this new year, I decided Journeys is going to be like the big thing for me. Journeys. Last year was the journey and the experience, but the one thing I do want to share for those people who tend to be more pessimistic, kind of like how I used to be, is when you really think of wanting something, you more often than not will get it if it's right for you. That's the key thing. Hey, I'd love to win the lotto. I was sitting up here gambling saying, oh my gosh, I want to win Keno. It wasn't in the cards for me, so I didn't win. Even though, and I set a limit, like I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars to win. And I think if you spend a lot of money to win, your chances are higher. I come with a set amount. One time I came with 50 bucks and left with 50 bucks. I was happy with that because I don't want to spend all my money on trying to gamble. Now I do like to play the scratchers and stuff, but I came and I had a really good time. But last year was a year of putting stuff out there and things actually happened. I know in terms of like my daughter's a perfect example. There were two specific situations that I thought were impossible to happen. And I just kind of put positive energy and being hopeful and, having a lot of faith. And out of the blue, these two wonderful experiences happened for her. It just like came out of the blue. And I think that's because we had a really optimistic, we had hopeful intentions, and we were looking for, good things, and we surrounded ourselves with positiveness. I think that's why certain things happened. I can name like at least 4 different things that happened, at least for my daughter, that just popped out of the blue, and they were amazing. For me, I have a perfect example. In the beginning of last year, the one thing I wanted to do was be a part of a new podcast team. Since 2009, I've been doing all different podcasts with different people. I do have one set partner, my partner Mark, where he and I do a show together. But I've always done extra stuff to keep myself busy and, being hopeful that maybe this is the next team that'll work. Out of the blue, towards the middle of last year, an old coworker that I had not seen, oh my gosh, I'm going to say since like maybe 2000, like 15, maybe 15 years ago, to be fair, contacted me. Hey, I want you to be a guest on, my new show. And I'm like, okay. And then he wanted me to be a reoccurring guest. And then towards the end of last year, it's like, I really want you to be a part of what me and this other person are doing. I mean, it's so basically what I'm saying is each year just be hopeful and optimistic. And if it's meant for you and you have, faith, it's really going to happen. I mean, I know it's such a cliche, dreams do come true. My dreams have not all come true, okay? But a lot of wonderful things have happened to lead to my dreams. And I'm getting older, and as I'm getting older, I'm like, oh no, what if it doesn't happen? You just have to have the faith and be optimistic that something positive will happen, and it will. So that was last year. I'm going to continue that into this year, and this year is the journey of exploring, which is what we did. We went to Palm Springs, we're here in Nevada, and we went to Arizona, and this is where my story begins. I'm rabbit chasing, but this is where my story begins. So I said to my daughter, let's go to Arizona. Just out of the blue, I just want to go to Arizona. Let's see what's going on in Arizona. So what we decided to do was, there's this amazing church that I had gone to many, many years ago. It's a St. Jude Ranch. It's in Boulder City, Nevada. If you are Catholic, if you're not, if you just like churches, I love churches. I just love, basically the architecture. I love the pictures. I love taking pictures of churches. I went to the St. Jude's Ranch, found it, looked it up and stuff. Beautiful. Next step, right down the way, is a Hoover Dam. So I said, hey, let's go to the Hoover Dam. When you're going and entering to the Hoover Dam, coming from Boulder City, I guess this is something new because I didn't experience this years ago when I went to the Hoover Dam. You get stopped at a stop point, and I was like, oh wow, we're getting stopped at a stop point. I wonder what this is all about. So there's a bunch of cars, and the guys are letting people go through. Then here comes my turn, and he looks at me, looks in the back, pull over. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I can't believe this. You're joking. You're pulling me over. There's nothing in my back seat. It's just me and my teenage daughter. Come on now. So he pulls me over, and there's these other officers like kind of standing on the side. And this one guy, it was just so funny because he's walking around. He's a young guy. He seemed, pretty nice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the guy. But I noticed that he puts his hand on his gun, and I'm just sitting there like, you're joking. You've got to be kidding me. Then again, police don't know who they're dealing with, so I do understand. So I'm being fair. So then he looks in the car and he says, do you have any firearms? And I said, I kind of giggled and I said no. And I was wanting to record this because I thought it was absurd. But then I realized I don't know these police. I don't know anything about this area. I'm not going to, start. And they look pretty serious, so I'm not going to start any mess. And, especially in front of my daughter. And this is just not the time to do that and mouth off. Because I can mouth off and it's actually not right. And it doesn't set a good example anyway. So, he tells me to get out the car and my daughter. So we both get out the car. Then he says, okay, so he tells us first to get out the car. Then as we're getting out the car, he looks at my daughter and he goes, ma'am. And thank goodness she's not a ma'am. She's a teenager. She's not even a ma'am. What are you ma'aming her for? It was like, so, I know I'm being nitpicky, but it was just unbelievable. So he asks me to open up the trunk. And I open up the trunk and he asks us where we're from. Well, it says California on the license plate. So we're from California. But I didn't say that. I wasn't rude, but I was just annoyed that I was being stopped. Okay, bye. So I don't know what that was about. But I did notice as I was leaving, they didn't stop any other cars, but they stopped us. So I don't even know. Nowadays, you never know, right? You never know. But it just makes me mad because when I go, or I don't want to say mad, I want to say annoyed. Every time I go to the airport, I am the one, for years, this has happened for years, I am the one that they pull to the side and test my hands for explosives. I am the one that they, pat down. One time I was taking my daughter to, she was a minor. She was, I guess under 17, they let you take your children, to the gate. So all I got was just a pass. That's it, just a pass to walk her to the gate. I didn't even have my purse on me. So I got it, I had my ID. So I had the pass and my ID on me. And, you have to take off your shoes and everything as you go through the screening process at the airport. They still pulled me over. And I was just walking her to the gate. Never fails. I don't know what kind of a look I have, that they're always stopping me, between the police stopping me and, telling me all kinds of nonsense, and then, being pulled over to look in my car. That's not the first time they've pulled me over to just look in my car. This is about the third time in my whole driving existence that I've been pulled over, and they've wanted to look in the car and in the trunk for some reason. I don't know what it is. And then every time I go to the airport, constantly, got to pat me down, got to look at my hands for explosives. And one time when I was in Hawaii, I said, you didn't stop any of these other people that look more suspicious than me. Why are you stopping me? And I realized you can't fight the system. You just got to deal with it. So anyway, on to bigger and better things. and got to go back to work on Monday. But that was just a story about my travels, and just like kind of like a little tidbit about, this is a new year. Let's try to be hopeful. Let's try to be optimistic, more loving, less annoyed. And I'm the one who really needs to learn this. So I'm glad that I'm posting this because I can go back and look and say, did I practice what I preached? So we'll see. Anyway, have a wonderful day. And until next time, take care. Bye.